Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our discussion on The Bachelor episode 3. And rest assured, this will be a discussion because I feel like if the discussion on this video is anything like Twitter is at the moment, things are going to get fiery.
Yeah, it is really divided out there on how people are feeling about pretty much everyone in the house right now. I mean, it was a really intense episode. There was a lot going on.
And I'll be honest here, I flip-flopped at least like 3 times on Sarah throughout this episode. I went from like kind of liking her to just being incredibly annoyed by her to being sympathetic towards. This was like going on the Texas Giant at Six Flags. We're just like, like throughout all of it. At least that's my feeling anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we got to talk about that. We have some dates to discuss.
Yeah.
There's some major next level cringe in this episode.
Yes, there is.
But before we get into it, if you guys enjoy this video, subscribe to the channel because we're here every week discussing The Bachelor.
Yep, and you don't want to miss it. So hit that subscribe button.
Okay, let's just get the Sarah stuff out of the way here because I feel like there's like 90% of this episode feels like it's Sarah.
And it is, and that's a lot of what the women were also feeling. And I'm not here to take away anything of what the women were feeling, but my take on Sarah, which, of course, let us know in the comments if you agree with me or you agree with that. I actually don't know what your opinion is on it yet.
It's a mystery.
It's a mystery, yeah. I understood where she was coming from through the whole thing. This process was not meant for her. And it's actually kind of rare that we get to see something like this where somebody is really battling jealousy. This is an extremely difficult situation when you're making a connection with someone to focus on just that relationship and not the fact that everyone else is doing the same thing with the same person that you're connected to. And like I said, I'm surprised that those feelings of jealousy don't come up in a more uncontrolled way, because I think it does for people, but they're able to really put it in a compartment and move forward. Whereas it feels like normally you wouldn't be able to. It would be something that would overwhelm you.
I found Sarah in a lot of ways really fascinating in this episode because I don't think she did anything with malice. I'm not going to sit here and say...
I agree 100%. Yeah. I know that there was a lot of chatter in the house of people thinking like she's doing this on purpose. She's doing this to get attention from him, or she's doing this for, malice or whatever, take away from other people. And I really don't think that's what it is. I think it did end up doing those things and it took time away from people, but a lot of it felt like we were actually watching somebody unravel and not be able to be in control of themselves.
There were moments where I had sympathy for some of the other women, including when Sarah crashes this group date at the cocktail party portion of it. She's not supposed to be there. I would be annoyed, irritated, and sort of reading into all of these different things if this person comes. She's already had a one-on-one date. That's a big component in all of this. And Sarah probably was extremely naive. I don't think she was sitting there being like, I'm gonna take time away from these people, but she obviously either doesn't know the show well enough or was not aware of what she was doing, that this act was going to massively irritate everybody else in the house.
Or she was probably, and this is just my guess, off screen, either in her head about this, just working herself up, and it's circling around in her head to the point that she's like, I can't wait any longer, I need to talk to him. Or she was talking to a producer being like, I can't handle this anymore, I don't know what to do, and they're just kind of like, well, maybe you could go talk to him. And then that's where we are, right? Because Katie said it, that she could have gone at another time. She could have waited till the end of the group date and gone to see him afterwards. Sure, she could have done that. But again, we were watching somebody like legit unraveling on screen and in her head, that I don't think she was really in control of what she was doing anymore. She felt out of control.
I think Sarah is sort of a congruence of a number of things, which together we have never seen on this show before. Yes, we have seen the person get extremely jealous to some degree. Like you said, it's kind of rare that we see it to the extent that we saw it with Sarah, but we've seen elements of that before. We've seen elements of the person who gets an early one-on-one date sort of freak out. We've seen women fighting with other women on the show, but mix all of these up with also, and I think this cannot be discounted enough, the just immense sort of personal stress that she was under being there with her father being in the condition that he was in. I think that played a very huge role in sort of her mental state throughout all of this. And you mentioned the producers probably suggesting, hey, why don't you go over there? They're not doing her any favors. I've just never seen so many different individual things forming this giant dark cloud over someone where they continually also make mistakes, and it is just more and more gasoline on top of it.
Yeah, it was such a weird watching of somebody unravel, because then she crashes this date. Katie keeps coming back, which she should. It was the right thing to do, to be like, yeah, okay, I'll give you 5 minutes. All right, this is turning into 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, to the point that Katie's just like, I'm just going to sit here. I'm just
I love that.
I'm like, good for you. You should just sit here. Sarah can come back at another time. And I get the position that Matt was in, where he's kind of like, all right, I really like this girl. I want her to feel okay and, whatever. But at the same time, you also need to kind of rein it in. You're the lead. You got to be able to be like, listen, I'm here for you. We'll work it out. I am on a group date right now. Why don't I find you after this? Because that could have worked as well. He's new to the franchise, so I'm going to give him a pass.
Yeah, I will say this, and I did not expect me to say this in episode 3. I really like Katie, and I didn't think I was going to be here after she showed up with an object that we have coined a microphone, and she was hitting people with it the first night. I thought, okay, she is the comic relief.
She's great. I'm completely turned around on Katie. I thought she was comic relief as well.
Yeah, I like almost everything that she does on this show. I think she's really, really good. But yeah, and ultimately, though, this is where, after all the group date stuff, I was really sympathetic towards a lot of the other women. I would be very irritated towards Sarah.
For sure. They all had a right to feel this way. This was their group date. Sarah already had a one-on-one. This was their chance to finally get time. I mean, Anna was basically like, I still haven't talked to him at all. This was a good episode for Anna, too. I really liked her. We'll talk briefly about that group date with the readings of the readings. And she was hilarious. I really like her. So I get where she's coming from, where she said, I haven't even got a chance to sit down and talk to him at all yet. And other people have had one-on-ones, or, now Sarah's here again. Like, this really stinks.
Here is where I turn on all the other women, except for Katie, because when they all sort of got back and they're at the place, and Sarah's isolating, which, by the way, never a good move if you're on The Bachelor to just isolate yourself from everyone. It's
true, but if you're unraveling and you want to try, it felt like she was trying to find a way to get a handle on herself so she could come back down, and sometimes that takes time.
The thing here, though, is that, unfortunately, and what you're saying may very well be true, I think the unfortunate thing is that if producers are egging you on and asking you questions and you're surrounded by a bunch of people, you're sort of putting yourself in this anti-Sarah echo chamber where you start elevating, and it's like, I understand why why we saw so many women upset.
Yes.
They took it way too far at the time in which they confronted her, because they were attacking her like she had stolen all their lunch money, took all their roses, stomped on them, and she was the most horrible person who had ever lived.
Timing matters, and that's part of the problem of what was happening with Sarah. Is it looked like she was unraveling. She's like, you know what? Maybe I'm just going to take this minute and try to get myself together. Maybe I don't want to put it on everybody. Maybe I need to collect myself, but it took too long. Long enough that the other women were getting really amped up, and they're all in a group, so they're all amping each other up. So by the time Sarah came downstairs and said, listen, guys, I know I isolated myself. I needed that time to get through some stuff, but I really want to come down here and apologize to you guys. It really was about timing. Yeah, there were some girls that took it way too far, and we'll talk about that. But there were other women that were like, listen, I hear your apology, but I'm still pissed off, so I'm going to need a little more time, which is a fair response as well.
I think, I'm going to need more time is purely acceptable.
Absolutely.
I think the how dare yous or the Victoria, who is just like straight up just like horrible, they doing the whole, well, I will never ever accept anything you ever say. It's just like, this is not that serious, Victoria.
No, it's not that serious, and especially for Victoria, who has gotten time with him. You haven't had a one-on-one, but you have made... you've carved off a good amount of time with him. You're not like Anna, who's like, I've never sat down with him.
Victoria, she was also doing the thing where at the group date, she is like pulling people and having separate conversations outside with them and like fully amping them up further. It's like she is just like spinning a wheel of chaos and reveling in it.
Sure, because earlier she was trying to get Mary Lynn eliminated. Mary Lynn is eliminated. Then she's like, all right, Mary Lynn is gone. Who's next? Sarah. So like now that this has come together, that is exactly what she's doing. She's amping everybody up to the point that I think it was Kid is just like, we're going to make your life a living hell. She didn't say it like that, but she said something like that, where every day you're here is going to be really miserable for you. So I hope you really want to be here for Matt, because the rest of the house is going to make your life misery. I'm just like, why? Why does that have to be like that? How about you don't like Sarah and you just leave it alone? You just don't talk to her. There's like 32 other women there, and more women coming next week. There's lots of other people for you to talk to. You don't need to go out of your way to make somebody's life hell when they're doing it to themselves. Let's be honest.
Okay. Kit, take a seat. Victoria, take many seats and just stop it with your nonsense.
Sit on your crown.
Sit on your crown. I will say this, I don't know why I thought of this, but I had struggled for 3 weeks because Sarah looks just like someone in my head, and I couldn't figure it out until tonight. She is Chloe Decker from Lucifer.
I know, she does look so much like her.
Why, Sarah, don't worry. Sooner or later, you will find the person who will call you detective in an affectionate voice.
No, she does look like her a lot.
By the way, Rachel also looks like Rebecca Black, and now every time I see her, I just think fun, 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 fun in my head.
I love that song. I'm the only person. I know it. It was so catchy.
And if you liked Rebecca Black's Friday, let us know in the comments.
I'm the only one, and I know it, and it's fine. It was catchy.
This whole episode was kind of a mess, but let's retreat for a moment and talk about this group date.
Yes. Okay, so I mentioned a little bit about what I liked about the group date, which was I liked Anna. I thought she was really funny. I liked her little sort of like, and then he whispered in my ear, "You're the only woman left here. Everyone else has gone home." I died. I thought this was actually a really fun, funny date. I didn't think that I was going to at first, where it was kind of like, let's write these saucy stories or whatever. And I mean, we're creative writers. We really enjoy creative writing, not necessarily steamy writing. But this was really funny. Also, if you guys didn't know, Chris Harrison has a book.
Why did we do this on this? Are you not making enough money, Chris Harrison? I'm sorry.
There's always more money
You
to be
didn't
made.
need your plug of your book. I saw you over there trying to plug it on Twitter to people as well. Okay, we get it, Chris Harrison. You're published. Congratulations. Here's your metaphorical medal. But
Hey, if you want to send us a copy, Chris, we will happily read it. I will happily read it.
I might read it. I will consider it. There were some of these that were pretty good. I will admit, at first, I was like trying to moonwalk my way out of this entire thing because I was so uncomfortable.
Absolutely, but this show thrives off of this stuff. And they're kind of right that they need to do something to kind of bring Matt out a little bit more. I like him so much. He is so genuine and down to earth, but he is very quiet.
I think where it started to win me over was, ironically, and this goes once again to my newfound discovery that I actually like Katie, was Katie's. It was so funny. It's one of those sort of things where you hear a joke told like 1,000 times and it's not great those first 1,000 times, but it's told so much you just start to get delirious and all of a sudden it becomes hilarious. It's like she went so far and so just over the top that it became funny. I actually, and I hate to admit this, I found myself laughing during Victoria's as well.
I had a hard time laughing through hers because I couldn't hear any of it. I heard the Yes Queen thing, which was funny, but I was wishing that I could actually hear more of it, and I understand why I can't, but seeing the reactions from the women and how much they were laughing through that, I really wish that they might just put the uncensored version online somewhere.
I'm going to reveal right now what I would have done during this date, because I would have not gone in that direction. This is what I would have done. And then I took out my ladle and started to mix the bowl. Would you like some berries while I finish your pancakes? I would just I would narrate like just some ridiculous mundane thing like, allow me to make you breakfast in bed, or like I would do something
That's
so
a little
weird.
Steamy.
I would just go full like weird and wholesome and like try to like make things sound kind of dirty when they're really not, just because it would be memorable and it would
be memorable. And that's the thing about this particular date, is that you did need to do something memorable. That was one of the things that Victoria brought up. She wasn't wrong about it. You do have to do something that makes you stand out in this. There's so many people there.
Would you like some orange juice? Because I'm done. But, you know, ultimately, yeah, I know everyone is just fanning themselves right now. But ultimately, Rachel ends up getting the rose. And I still actually don't know very much about Rachel at all.
I was shocked, actually, that Katie didn't get the rose. One, because she did awesome on the group date with her reading. And then she also got interrupted and had to wait for more time. But even before she got interrupted, she was making a really good connection. Like, I thought that was a really sort of missed rose.
I really think that Katie should have gotten the rose. I get the sense, though, that Matt James is very into Rachel because, like...
Yeah, he is. He clearly is. But he didn't need to give it to her there.
Like, he was talking up this conversation that the two of them had. Like, it was like this mind-altering conversation. And I legit don't remember a single thing that they said. And it was only like an hour and a half ago.
Yeah.
It really... Other than that, I guess Rachel was really proud of herself for putting herself out there. Which, you know, good on you, Rachel, if you are like legitimately proud of yourself for that.
It's not easy, especially on TV.
You just weren't Katie. I'm sorry, Katie's thing was just better.
It was better. She did better on the group date. She put up with a bunch of you-know-what on the after date. She deserved the rose.
And Katie talking to Sarah near the end of it.
Yep, she was the star of this whole episode.
Yeah, just so much empathy. Like, she got her time taken by Sarah, and then she is the one consoling Sarah in the end.
She went down and told the girls to stop their nonsense. Which I also really like, to be like, listen, guys, it's done. Stop it. It's over. Cut it out. I was like, yeah, man.
Should Katie be the next Bachelorette? Oh my.
No, the next Bachelorette needs to be Abigail if she's not picked. Yeah. I love her.
From what I've seen of Katie so far, I don't think ABC would be allowed to air her season of The Bachelorette, just with all of her innuendo, to say the least.
I feel like there's been other Bachelorettes that have done some other stuff too, and they were great.
This is true. Okay, Serena seems very normal.
Yes, and she's beautiful, and she seems kind, she's interesting. And she's absolutely going to make it to the hometown dates after she was like, man, my dad really didn't approve of me going on here. And he's usually so supportive of everything, but he really didn't want me to come on here. I was just like, well, we'll see you at hometowns then, Serena. You are a lock. If he likes you, you are going.
For sure. I think
Bachelor producers were on the side being like, oh my goodness, this is going to be so good.
Like, I felt pretty good about Bree's odds last week just because she had such a good date, but it's like, you have the combination here of a really good date, and then also,
really good date.
Yeah, the story aspect of it with her dad, which, I know we've already talked a little bit of smack about Chris Harrison, but can we also be like, at the start of this episode, he walks in and he's like, ladies, there are 2 group dates this week, and then 1 romantic, mesmerizing one. It's like he builds up this one-on-one date like it is the greatest date of all time, basically.
It was pretty romantic. They had a picnic. They had the donkeys, which is so cute, and they had a nice dinner. I thought it was very nice. Very nice for I guess the constraints of what's going on with the pandemic and where they are.
I am pro donkey in almost everything. I like donkeys. I would have liked very much this date. It was great. Chris Harrison, though, was rubbing some salt in these wounds and making everyone else feel bad they weren't on it. But in the end, Sarah is gone. Victoria somehow still there.
Somehow.
Mary Lynn left, and I feel like that was actually 3 episodes ago at this point because so much happened.
I actually was surprised that producers let her go. I thought they were going to keep both of them to just kind of be like, okay, we need some drama. Obviously, we're not letting Victoria go yet because she's our drama money right now. But if we're going to let go of the person that she's kind of like having a fight with, then what happens? Clearly, Victoria's just going to pick up her ball and, throw it at somebody else.
Clearly.
So now she's gotten rid of 2 people she wants. So who's next?
If you go after Abigail, Victoria, I swear to Bachelor Nation, there will be so much salt in the upcoming video. Now, Victoria knows better at this point.
No, and I don't think Abigail's going to put up with that.
I'm going to put on the tinfoil hat one last time here. I think that Mary, I keep wanting to call her Mary Beth, but Mary Lynn was just a mercy elimination. Matt James knew that wasn't the right person for him.
Yeah.
He didn't want her to have to be putting up with Victoria's nonsense any longer.
Yep.
Don't worry. Mary Lynn, you will be invited to Bachelor in Paradise. I feel very, very strongly that production's going to be like, you know what? We feel really sorry for you, so we're going to give you another chance.
Maybe. I don't know if she's a big enough personality. And also, she's just too normal for this franchise. She's just like, she feels just like a kind, normal soul. I
think you're probably correct. There's always that one person. Actually, no, she wouldn't qualify for this because there's always that one person on Bachelor in Paradise who you're like, who? Who was like eliminated night 1? I think there was somebody named Izzy. Like, can you remember anything about Izzy?
No.
Yeah, you're too well known for that. I don't know where she fits in now.
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll wrap this up, but what did you guys think about Sarah and the whole journey?
And also the women, did they go too far?
I kind of think that some of them did, but let's hear from you guys. And if you enjoyed this video, subscribe, give us a like, and if you want to support us further, check out the links in the description to the store or Patreon, and we will see you here next time.